World of Warships is a game about patience, positioning, and careful decision making. At its best, it captures the feeling of commanding massive warships in slow, deliberate battles where every moment and every shot matters. But it's also a free to play game built around events, progression systems, and monetization that constantly tries to pull your attention in different directions. So the real question becomes simple: is the core game strong enough to be worth navigating everything built around it? One of the strongest aspects of World of Warships is simply the sheer number of ships available. There are tech trees representing multiple nations, each with their own design philosophy. Some ships rely on stealth torpedoes, others focus on long range artillery or heavy armor. Over time, you begin to recognize the personality of different ships, how they move, how they fight, and what role they're meant to play on the battlefield. That variety gives players plenty of room to experiment and eventually find the style of gameplay that suits them best. Another strength of World of Warships is the pace of its matches. Unlike some online games that ask for long, uninterrupted sessions, World of Warships keeps battles contained. Each match length is 20 minutes max, which in my opinion is the perfect amount of time to read the battlefield, position for your engagements, and the chaos to unfold, while not being too long and feeling like a waste of time. Most of your matches won't actually make use of the full 20-minute timer, with the objectives around the map. And since every match involves a different mix of ships and players, the experience rarely unfolds the same way twice. Once you move past the early impressions, World of Warships begins to show its complexity. There's a significant learning curve beneath the surface. Things like armor angling, concealment, shell penetration, spotting, and positioning all play major roles in how the battles unfold. The challenge is the game doesn't always explain these systems clearly. New players often learn through trial and error, sometimes losing ships very quickly while trying to understand what went wrong. It's a game that rewards patience, but the early hours can feel intimidating. Because World of Warships is entirely online, every match depends heavily on the players around you. That unpredictability can be one of the things that keeps the game interesting. Different teammates, different strategies, and different ship combinations mean every battle unfolds a little differently. But it also means the experience can sometimes be frustrating. Matches rely on up to 12 players working together, and when that coordination falls apart, whether through inexperience, poor communication, or someone simply trolling, the outcome can feel decided long before the battle actually ends. For new players, this can be especially rough. World of Warships already has a steep learning curve, and mistakes tend to be very visible. It's not uncommon for new players to be criticized in chat while they're still trying to understand the fundamentals of the game. Over time, most players learn to tune out the noise and focus on improving their own gameplay. But, like many online games, the quality of a match isn't determined only by the mechanics or ship balance, it's also shaped by the people you happen to be playing with that day. Being a free to play game also shapes the experience in noticeable ways. Players can progress naturally through the tech trees, unlocking ships by earning experience playing battles. But the game also offers ways to accelerate that progress. Premium ships, boosters, and various bundles allow players to move up the tiers much faster. The problem is that higher tier matches tend to assume players already understand the game's fundamentals. When someone skips the learning process entirely, those matches can start to feel uneven in ways the game likely wasn't designed for. Another aspect that becomes more noticeable over time is the amount of grinding involved. Events promising free or heavily discounted ships appear regularly, but they often require an enormous amount of playtime. Completing daily missions, weekly objectives, and event chains can slowly begin to feel less like a goal and more like an obligation. For players who enjoy steady progression, this might not be a problem, but for others, it can start to feel like the game is quietly asking to be a second job. Then there's the part that wargaming makes impossible to ignore. World of Warships leans heavily on loot boxes and randomized rewards, with seasonal containers, limited time bundles, and event crates that are constantly promoted within the game. Some bundles can climb well beyond $200, especially for players trying to collect specific ships. That said, in my opinion, supporting a game you enjoy and appreciate can make sense, similar to buying a new game at the standard $70 price tag. The concern comes more from how that spending happens and how heavily they lean into FOMO and gambling. For example, you purchase the crates and get a 3.5% chance to unlock a ship and a 10% chance to unlock another box, which has a higher chance at unlocking these ships. But overall, it's just a chance, not a guarantee. And all this for something you might not appreciate later. World of Warships will likely appeal most to players who enjoy slower, more deliberate multiplayer games, but don't want the full simulation experience. Success often comes from patience, positioning your ship correctly, choosing the right moment to fire, and understanding when to push forward or hold back. Players who enjoy learning complex systems and gradually improving over time will probably find a lot to like here. It can also be especially appealing for players who enjoy naval history, or simply like the idea of commanding large warships in semi-tactical battles. On the other hand, players looking for fast-paced action or quick mechanical reactions may find the pace a bit slow, and anyone who dislikes progression systems, grinding, or monetization heavy free-to-play games may find parts of the experience frustrating. Like many long-running online games, World of Warships tends to reward players who approach it patiently and on their own terms. When everything comes together, and your team plays well and a perfectly aimed salvo lands exactly where it should, the game captures something uniquely satisfying about naval combat. But the surrounding systems can sometimes get in the way, which is a bit unfortunate because underneath all of that, it is genuinely an interesting tactical game, one that rewards patience, awareness, and the willingness to learn from your mistakes. World of Warships is often at its best when you focus on the ships and strategy, and a little less on the noise surrounding them. Thanks for watching. I'm the Pixel Pundit, and YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video right here.